Hey, good afternoon, all you beautiful people out there, and welcome to another session of Sean Talks Cybersecurity. You might notice I changed the name of the channel, and that's for good reason because I really wanted to encompass what this channel is all about, and really it's just about talking about cybersecurity. So, yeah, if this is your first time here today, thanks for joining in on the live stream. Really appreciate you hopping on and joining us today. Here at Sean Talks Cybersecurity, we just kind of get into a little bit of everything when it comes to cybersecurity. We start off with the news, we dive into some Try Hack Me, and then I give you a couple resources on what you can do to improve in your skills. So it is Wednesday, February Wednesday, February 26th, and 2 o'clock Eastern Time. So without further ado, let's hop into the news, see what's going on in the world of cyber today. And yeah, so I don't have my tea today like I did yesterday. I have a cup of water because I had my tea earlier today, and I don't really like to have too much caffeine. It just makes me too wiry. So you let me know in the chat if you guys drink coffee or tea, and if you have more than one cup a day. Like I said, I find that if I drink too much caffeine, it just makes me too wired up. So, okay, everybody. All right. So, first story of the day. A maximum security RCE bug has emerged that affects all versions of MITRE Caldera, going back to the first versions of the open source adversary emulation platform. So, definitely a big story. This is a very popular red teaming tool, and it is used for accessing networks, escalating privileges, and yeah, you can see for yourself, it could be really bad. So the fact that there is an RCE vulnerability in MITRE Caldera is definitely not a good thing. If you do use MITRE Caldera, it might be time to think about maybe switching to something if you can, something else, or maybe doing what you can to mitigate your risk as much as you can. Looks like the vulnerability is a 10 out of 10 on the CVSS scale, 2025-27364. And this was the recommendation. With an attacker requiring no user interaction or special privileges, MITRE has recommended that all Caldera users immediately pull down the latest versions of Caldera. So update. And that way you're running the latest version. So yeah, so GCC is a dependency of Go. Let's see here. It says all these dependencies are required for Caldera to be fully functional in the first place. David Kulikowski said, the independent security researcher who recently reported the bug to MITRE. So yikes. Yeah, bad news on MITRE's part. MITRE's a big name too. I mean, I kind of can't believe that this is happening. Usually MITRE, you know what? Like, I take that back, actually. MITRE, anybody can have something happen to their code or anything like that. I mean, nothing is perfect. That's why we all have jobs in cybersecurity and why we are a necessity, because, nothing's ever foolproof. It's always a game of cat and mouse. So, yeah, I would say follow the instructions here on dark reading. If you haven't, take a look at the actual CVE itself, and keep apprised of what's going on if you're using this red teaming tool. You go out here to NIST, the NIST website, and take a look and see what there is to see on it. But okay, that's it for that story. Let's go on ahead and move on here. Dark reading. Another article from Dark Reading. So Microsoft 365 accounts get sprayed by a mega botnet, not the mega botnet. The threat actors are exploiting non-interactive sign-ins, an authentication feature that security teams don't typically monitor. So threat actors are exploiting non-interactive sign-ins. Yeah, I would say keep a close eye on your Microsoft 365 environment, admins out there. Make sure that you are looking for any abnormalities. Take a look at your logs. It says the attacks have been recorded in non-interactive sign-in logs, something that the researchers at Security Scorecard note is often overlooked by security teams. Threat actors are able to exploit this feature by conducting high-volume password spraying attempts while going virtually undetected. Yeah, I can say from my own past experience, this could be really bad for organizations. So all you 365 admins, please keep close tabs on your Microsoft tenant, your Office 365, and everything that you normally keep a close eye on anyway. Just keep a little bit of a closer eye and keep up to date with what's going on with this one. Could be pretty crazy for some orgs here. So got two more for you. All right, so bleeping computer, Pump Fun is hacked on X. So anybody who's not familiar with the crypto game, Pump.fun is a very popular account on X that talks about cryptocurrency. Basically, the gist of this one is don't actively follow their account right now. Don't unsubscribe, because eventually they'll probably come back from this. But yeah, just wanted to let you all know, Pump.fun got hacked. And basically the hack is that there's something where they're doing like some kind of governance token. They're tweeting or posting about this governance token. So this account here, Sweep, reported on it, and it's out here on Bleeping Computer if you want to read more about it. Definitely don't listen to any advice that they're giving right now. It would be very bad for you to listen to their advice. So stay away from Pump.fun X account for now. But keep up with what's going on. I'm sure they'll get their account back, and they have some good advice. All right, let's see. By the way, let me just disclaim this first. Anything that I ever mention about cryptocurrency, anything on this channel that I ever say about cryptocurrency, I am not in any way, shape, or form a financial advisor. So please do not take anything I say as financial advice. I just am a cybersecurity researcher and cybersecurity professional, so I do not have any sort of backing in the finance space. All right, now that we got that out of the way, last one. Cybercriminals can now clone any brand site in minutes using Darkula. I think this is FAS. That's how I'm going to pronounce it. FAS v3. And FAS is just phishing as a service. Lovely. Phishing as a service. I just love that. That's just the best. Like, yeah, not at all. But Darkula pushing this phishing as a service platform, and the fact that they can just kind of come in and masquerade as your brand, not a good look for any of these criminals. I hate it. I hate that these people do this stuff. I don't know why they feel like this is the thing to do, but hey, here we are. And yeah, if not for them, I guess we wouldn't have jobs, right? Cops and robbers and all that. So I would say, keep a close eye on your branding. And if you get any kind of like, messages from folks saying like, hey, I noticed that this person's like masquerading as you, pretending to be you. Maybe, normal users probably going to just say like, hey, this website's pretending like it's you. You might want to just kind of take that a little bit more seriously than you would have. Check into it, and you make sure that your stuff isn't being cloned, and yeah, because it could be used to destroy your brand. So yeah, thanks Darkula for this lovely gift. Really nice of you to do this. So all right, let's dive into some Try Hack Me now. That's it for the news. Gonna take a little quick water break here, and then we'll dive right in. Okay. All right, everybody. Okay. Today's topic for Try Hack Me is LAN topologies and LAN in general. So, LAN topologies. This is really useful. You're going to use this a lot in cybersecurity. If you've never heard of what a LAN topology is, I have an old video on this on my channel. I highly recommend you go back and watch it. It's actually one of my more popular videos, and I'll link to it in the comments section after this if you want to go back and watch it. Also, too, I would recommend, I was going to wait until later in the stream to do this, but I'm just going to do it now. Professor Messer, you can just go to professormesser.com, and his Network Plus certification material is what I learned all my networking stuff through. I would highly, highly recommend you watch his videos. Professor Messer is the de facto he's the man. I mean, his channel is phenomenal. He's a real asset to the tech industry. Many people learn their basics from him. So you can learn the A plus, you can learn the Network plus, and you can learn your Security plus all through him. Get your certifications and get hired somewhere if you're not already hired. So shout out to Professor Messer. Thank you for everything you do. Okay, we'll get to that other tab later. Okay, LAN topologies. So we got this star topology here, and a star topology. Well, okay, let me back up a little bit. What is a topology? What does a topology mean? A topology is just a way of organizing your network, right? And it has advantages and disadvantages. So star topology is whenever you have devices that are connected via a central networking device such as a switch or a hub. This topology is most commonly found today because it's reliable and scalable. So think about your own home network, right? Maybe you have a router / modem / switch combo, and you might have everything plugged into that either wirelessly or via Ethernet in your house. Maybe you have it all connected up that way. So you might have it all coming back to that modem / router / switch combo, and then from there you're able to access the internet. So that is a star topology. And you'll see this in other organizations whenever you work for any kind of company. When you're actually doing your work, any information sent to a device in this topology is sent via the central device to which it connects, and the advantages and disadvantages are as follows. Because more cabling and the purchase of dedicated networking equipment is required for this topology, it is more expensive than any of the other topologies. So yeah, that's true. It is more expensive, but in reality, I mean, you kind of can't get around it anymore. I mean, this is really in 2025. If you're not doing star topology, yeah, I don't see why you wouldn't be. I mean, star topology is pretty much what you're going to see. So if you don't take anything else away from this video, just remember star topology. Okay. So despite the added cost, this does provide some significant advantages. The topology is much more scalable in nature, which means that it is very easy to add more devices as the demand for the network increases. Yeah, like I said, it's just, you're going to see star topology pretty much everywhere you're at, right? The more the network scales, the more maintenance is required. Okay, right, makes sense. And you will see, let's just take and do this real quick because I'm curious. All right. Let's go to DuckDuckGo, and let's see if we can find, let's see, networking mess. Networking closet mess. Let's see if we can find images. Okay, yeah, so, all right, perfect. Networking closet mess. Look at this. If you see this in your career, oh my gosh, okay. This is what a network should look like. A networking closet should look like, right? This is what happens if you build a star topology and you don't keep up with it. Yeah, you're going to have this all over the place. And I have seen this. I have seen crazy networking closets. Like, this is garbage. Like, I'm sorry. If you did this, if you were a network admin, whatever, I don't know, the early 2000s or whatever, not to hate on you or anything. I don't hate you as a person, but man, like, you really made somebody's life really hard later on by doing this kind of stuff. So don't ever organize your cables like this. This is really bad. So when TryHackMe's talking about this for networking, and they say as the network scales, the more maintenance is required to keep up with the network, yeah, that's kind of what they're talking about on a physical level. There are some things on the back end too, like if you're using Cisco iOS or anything like that. I don't know what Palo Alto's is called, but you have to set these things up on the routers and switches, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, it does get quite complex as time moves on and your network grows. Okay, moving on. And also too, I don't want to read through all of this. I just want to kind of cover the highlights, but I would encourage you to come out here to TryHackMe on your own, read through this in detail, spend some time actually doing this stuff, because not only by watching me are you going to get better, but by coming out here and actually doing the work yourself, like, you're gonna get better. So come out to Try Hack Me, create a free account, and just actually follow along with it. Okay, so bus topology. This type of connection relies upon a single connection, which is known as a backbone cable. This type of topology is similar to the leaf of a tree in the sense that devices, leaves, stem from where the branches are on this cable. Okay. All the data is destined for each device that travels along the same cable. It is very quickly prone to becoming slow and bottlenecked. So you don't see bus topologies very much for this reason, because it has to go through each one, right? Bus topologies are one of the easiest and most cost-effective topologies to set up because of their expenses, right? And then the main disadvantage is that you don't have redundancy in place in case of failure, and that there is a single point of failure along the backbone cable. So if the cable breaks along the way anywhere, like let's say right here, this breaks, okay, your network is still going here, right? If you're following along with my mouse cursor there, but then everything down the line doesn't work, right? So yeah, it's definitely not a good type of network topology. Ring topology. Okay, so this was called the token topology previously. It's now more commonly referred to as the ring topology, and that is because the computers are connected directly to each other to form a loop. All right, which means less cabling, right? But also there is no redundancy. So ring topology works by sending data across the loop until it reaches the destined device, using other devices along the loop to forward the data. Interestingly, a device will only send received data from another device in this topology if it does not have any to send itself. If the device happens to have data to send, it will send its own data first before sending data from another device. So you can kind of already see the weaknesses in this, right? Like this was at one point in time a well thought out tactic, but today in 2025, you're not going to see ring topologies very much at all. Because there's only one direction for data to travel, it's fairly easy to troubleshoot, but it's a double-edged sword because it isn't an efficient way for the data to travel. And also it's prone to bottlenecks, and also if you have this, again, where we have this cut in the line right now, the networking is not going to, it's not going to work. So yeah, don't use ring topologies. Stick with the star topology. Like I said, if you don't get anything else out of this, let's just remember star topology. Okay, so what is a switch? Switches are dedicated devices within a network that are designed to aggregate multiple other devices, such as computers, printers, or any other networking capable device using Ethernet. These various devices plug into a switch's port. Switches are usually found in larger networks, such as businesses, schools, or similar sized networks, where there are many devices to connect to the network. Switches can connect a large number of devices by having ports of 4, 8, 16, 20. So, all right, let's take a look at this. All right, let's see. Network switch, Cisco. All right, so this is kind of what you would expect. So this is like your typical home switch right here, and you can see here it says PoE. That just means that it's power over Ethernet. So it'll actually power devices if they support it. But in an actual environment, you'll see this is called a rack switch, right? So these little screw holes here, they actually screw into a rack. And you see here, these ones are stacked. They just don't have they don't have the mounts on them. But you can see that, you could plug a ton of these in, right? You could plug so many different devices into this, and it just makes it really easy. And the other thing is, too, you have patch panels. Patch panels are also really helpful. Whenever you have large organizations, you have these things called patch panels. And so let's say, I wish I could draw this, but I can't right now. I haven't figured out how to do that. So bear with me, audience, as I try to explain this. If you have a bunch of cables running throughout your entire building, and then they have to come back to this main room where all of your networking equipment is at, you would patch them into these, so that way it's easier to manage. And then from there, you are able to actually see what cable goes to what room and device and outlet, and then basically come out of there and go into your switches. So you'll most commonly see these in enterprises. You're going to see these patch panels, and then the patch panels go into your network switches. So, okay, so we can see here in their diagram, they have all these computers, all these, they could be servers too, it doesn't matter anyway. All these endpoints here that come into your switch, like switch 1, and then you have switch 2, and then that comes back to your router, and then your router goes out to the internet. A simpler diagram than this is for your own house. You could just eliminate this switch 2 over here. We could just get rid of that, and then you could just say switch 1 comes up to the router and then to internet. So these could be like, this could be your iPhone, this could be your Xbox, your PlayStation, this could be your smart TV, your smart fridge, whatever else you have in your house, right? Your laptop, and then it connects up to, in this case, it would be, these two things would be the same thing, your router and your switch, because that's what your ISP gives you. But you could have just a separate switch. Like in my office, I have a switch, and my switch goes down to my router, and then from there it goes out to the internet. So, all right, what is a router? A router's job is to connect networks and pass data between them. It does this by using routing, hence the name router. And all that means is that it's basically going to direct the traffic to where it needs to go. You can think of it like a traffic cop. So routing is the label given to the process of data traveling across networks. Routing involves creating a path between a network so that the data can be successfully delivered. So you say computer A, and then here's your router, here's another router, here's another router. So this would be going out to the internet, and the internet is comprised of all these different routers, right? Coming out of this router, okay, I see that this one's faster, I see that this one's slower, I'm going to take this route. And then it goes this, and then it goes to where it needs to go, right? And if you use ping, which we covered yesterday, highly recommend you watch that video. If you use ping, you can tell kind of the, actually no, I'm sorry, not ping. You want to use traceroute. TRACERT is the command, traceroute. If you use traceroute, you can tell where that's going, and then it'll show you where how your network traffic is being routed. Okay, so what does LAN stand for? It is local area network. By the way, chat, I forgot to mention this, but if you guys didn't see on my above my head here on the stream, you can see that I have the chat is ready to display messages. So if you're watching in real time right now, feel free to add to the chat anytime you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer them. I am live, obviously, so you can just add any kind of Q&A, and I'd be happy to answer it as I'm going along here. So what is the verb given to the job that routers perform? Routing. Routers route. What device is used to centrally connect multiple devices on the local network and transmit data to the correct location? What device is used? Switch. That is your switch. What topology is cost efficient to set up? That would be your bus topology. What topology is expensive to set up and maintain? You guys remember this. It is our star topology. So star topology is expensive, but it's worth the money because it's the one that actually allows you to maintain your network easier. So, all right, wants us to do this little lab. So let's see. Come on down. All right. Topology flaws. This lab will take you through the flaws in different network topologies. In a ring topology, all devices are connected to two others to create a full circle. Cool. I like the graphics. Thanks, TryHackMe. Pretty great stuff. All right, so packets of data travel from one device to the next until they have reached their destination. One of the major flaws with a ring topology is that if a device goes down or cable is broken, the data will no longer be passed. If you hover over the middle of the network cable, you can cut it and see what happens. Okay, yeah, let's do that. All right, so perfect. I like that they actually showed it. That's great. So yeah, You can see that the packets aren't able to travel. Yeah, and then the bus topology is the same thing. It has that it can't handle a large amount of data. So you can see here how they're showing it and how it flows. Yeah, perfect. I'm loving this TryHackMe. This is wonderful. So you can understand now that if we want to go like computer 1 to computer 3, send packet. I think it's that purple one. Computer 2 to computer 3, computer 4 to computer 3, computer 5. Okay, how many is this going to have us do here? I guess we're just going to try to flood it. Okay, yeah, so yeah, you can see there, once we flood the network, it's down, it's gone. So not good. Now star topology is the one that is the most reliable because it's all going back to that switch, and then boom, it's able to balance all that network traffic. And yeah, it's great. The only way you can, yeah, okay, so we broke the switch with the hammer. Fantastic. All right, topology flaws. That was our flag. Okay, cool. By the way, let me take a second to just say thanks for watching along with me today. Really appreciate having a live audience here and being able to share this stuff with you. It's fantastic actually kind of sharing my knowledge out and not just kind of keeping it. We have this term in cybersecurity called gatekeeping, and gatekeeping is a bad thing. So we definitely like to share our knowledge. Most people in cybersecurity like to share their knowledge. So just keep that in mind whenever you get in this field if you're new, and just keep in mind the next generation that has to come in and replace you eventually. So, as we've previously discussed through the module so far, networks can be found in all shapes and sizes, ranging from small to large. Subnetting is the term given to splitting up a network into smaller miniature networks within itself. Think of it as slicing up a cake for your friends. Subnetting is not as fun as cake. I'm just going to say that. It can be quite complex. So, subnetting is you deciding who gets what slice and reserving such a slice of this metaphorical cake. Okay. So take a business, for example, you will have different departments such as accounting, finance, and human resources. So they've separated their network out into the accounting, human resources, and finance. Cool. So while you know where to send information in real life to the correct department, networks need to know as well, and network admins use subnetting to categorize and assign specific parts of a network to reflect this. So remember that IP we saw yesterday with the 4 octets. This is achieved by splitting up the number of hosts that can fit within the network, right? So your hosts right here, right? And you can go a step further, but we'll get into that. I'm just gonna work through this. Okay. As we can recall, an IP address is made up of 4 sections called octets, right? Okay, and then they go from 0 to 255. So this could be 0 to 255, again with this, again with this, and again with that. Okay. Subnets use the IP addresses in 3 different ways: identifying the network address, identifying the host, and the default gateway. So you got your network address, your host, and your default gateway. All right, so the purpose of the network address is to identify the start of the network and identify a network's existence. So a device with IP of 192.168.1.100 will be on the network identified by 192.168.1.0, and you'll also see 192.168.0.0, right? That would be your network address. Then you have your host address, which is the host IP for identifying your device on that subnet. So a device on the network would be 192.168.1.1 would be 192.168.1.100, right? So let's do a different one. We could say like 192.168.1, and then we could say like 25, right? So that would be a device on your actual network, right, on that particular subnet. And then the default gateway is the special address assigned to a device on the network that is capable of sending information to another network. Any data that needs to go to a device that isn't on the same network, i.e. isn't on 192.168.1.0 will be sent to this device. So let me say that again. Any data that needs to go to a device that isn't on the same network, i.e. they're not on this 192.168.1.0, will be sent to this device. These devices use any host address, but usually they're either the first or the last address. So you commonly will see .254, right? That's where you're gonna see your gateway. Now, in small networks such as at home, you will be on one subnet, as there is an unlikely chance that you need more than 254 devices connected at one time. Who knows? Maybe in the future that won't be the case. I mean, everything's kind of Internet of Things now, so I could see people needing to subnet their networks at home eventually. But subnetting provides a range of benefits, including efficiency, security, and full control. Security is the reason, one of the main reasons why people subnet, because you don't want people from like, let's say you get a bad actor on your network, and also too, a bad actor is just another, it's the professional way that we refer to as the bad guys, the bad hackers, the people that are actually trying to do damage. Like yesterday I talked about Lazarus Group, that's a bad actor. So if you have some people on your network and then they don't know all the different subnets, you can just go ahead and have like all your specific, like really important data on one subnet, hoping that they don't get into that subnet. Maybe they get into another one. But I mean, at this point, most people who do this stuff, they kind of know how to, get between different subnets. But it does provide a layer, and that's really one of the main things in cybersecurity. You want your security to be layered. We'll come to explore how subnetting provides the benefits later. Let's take a typical cafe on the street. The cafe will have two networks, one for employees and one for the general public to use as a hotspot. Okay, right. So what's the technical term for dividing a network up into smaller pieces? Subnetting. And then how many bits are in a subnet mask? Oh man, how many bits are in a subnet mask? You have, for some reason my brain is not working right now. We have 32 bits. 32 bits. Right. What is the range of a section of a subnet mask? Okay, so you have 0 to 255. What address is used to identify the start of a network? That would be, the start of the network would be your network address, correct? Yeah, your network address, right. What address is used to identify devices within a network? That would be your host address. And your last one, what is the name used to identify the device responsible for sending data to another network? That would be your network gateway. No. What did I get wrong here? Default gateway. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Default gateway. Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, we could do this. Okay. ARP. Recalling from our previous tasks that devices can have two identifiers, a MAC address and an IP address. The Address Resolution Protocol, or ARP for short, is the technology that is responsible for allowing devices to identify themselves on a network. Simply, ARP allows a device to associate its MAC with an IP on the network. So let's go over that one more time. We have a MAC address and an IP address. The Address Resolution Protocol is what allows those things to be linked together, essentially. So ARP gives the device, associates it with the MAC address and the IP address, and then each device on the network will keep a log of the MAC address associated with other devices. How does it work? Each device within a network has a ledger to store information, which is called a cache. In the context of ARP, this cache stores the identifiers of other devices on the network, and in order to map these two identifiers together, ARP sends two types of messages, ARP request and ARP reply. When an ARP request is sent, a message is broadcasted on the network to other devices, and it asks, what is the MAC address that owns this IP? And then the other devices receive that message, and they will only respond if they own that IP, and then they'll send the ARP reply with its MAC address. Okay. Complex subject, kind of. Basically, just to kind of simplify things, just know that ARP is just kind of how your network says, hey, you know, this is the device and this is how it needs to talk, right? So, all right. You won't, I mean, you will use ARP. Don't get me wrong. You're going to use ARP, but it's not going to be as frequent as your IP and your MAC. Just know that, you know, it exists. Address resolution protocol. And what category of ARP packet asks a device whether or not it has a specific IP address. That is the ARP request, right? And then what address is used as a physical identifier for a device on a network. That is the MAC address. And what address is used as a logical identifier for a device on a network. That would be your IP address. Okay, and let's see how long this, yeah, DHCP, we can cover that today too. Cool. Let's finish this room. DHCP, IP addresses can be assigned either manually by entering them physically into a device or automatically, and most commonly by using a DHCP, or Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. Later we're going to get into DNS. Now, when I first started in cybersecurity and networking, DHCP and DNS, for some reason in my mind, just always came across to me as like the same thing. They're not the same thing. So keep this in mind. DHCP and DNS are not the same thing. I just want to say that because I think it's an easy thing for us to get those two mixed up, especially considering they don't do the same thing, but they are similar, and you're going to use both things in cybersecurity. Okay, so when a device connects to a network, if it has not already been manually assigned an IP address, it sends out a request to see if any DHCP servers are on the network, and then the DHCP server then replies back with an IP address. This device could use DHCP offer. The device then sends a reply confirming it wants the offered IP address, and then the DHCP server sends a reply back once it has been completed, and the device can use that IP address. So this is your computer. Say, hey, I'm new. Is there anyone who can give me an IP address? And then DHCP comes back and says, hey, yeah, you can have this. So your router is doing all this. Your ISP router that you have, modem, is going to send this back and say, hey, yeah, you can have that. You can have this address. And then you say, cool, yeah, that'd be great. And then I'm going to say, yes, I'm going to do that. So this was the request, right? So discover, offer, request, and then finally an ACK or acknowledgement coming back here. Okay, great. You can have that for the next 24 hours or however long you decide for your DHCP server, right? Commonly 24 hours, right? So what type of DHCP packet is used by a device to retrieve an IP address? So what was it? It was to retrieve an IP address, you do DHCP discover, right? And then what type of DHCP packet does a device send once it has been offered an IP address? And once it has the IP address, it says DHCP request. And then lastly, what is the last DHCP packet that is sent to a device from a DHCP server? DHCP ACK. And then tomorrow, we will cover the OSI model, which is super important. OSI is extremely important to our career field in cybersecurity. And by the way, I know that this was a little bit of a long one today. I kind of went a little bit longer than I normally do. Also, it's like kind of springtime here, and I live in Pennsylvania, and it is really hot in my office right now. So if I kind of got a little bit like scatterbrain there, I'm just extremely hot right now. It's super warm in my office, so I am definitely going to go outside and enjoy the sunshine after this because it's beautiful outside, and spring is right around the corner. Watch it snow tomorrow. I say that, and I live in Pennsylvania, and it's totally going to snow tomorrow now. But it's nice outside, and I'm happy about that. But at the same time, we still have heat on in my house, and it is really, really warm in this place. So Okay, so this was the last thing I wanted to talk about. This would be my advice to you. Go out to Professor Messer, check his channel out, like I said earlier in the stream, and then go out here to the Cisco Networking Academy, which you can just go to Google or DuckDuckGo, whatever you use. Go out here, type in Cisco Networking Academy, and then go to networking, and then start learning on their website. Check it out and learn from them. Cisco has typically been the leader in this space. Like I said yesterday, Palo Alto has really been taking things over. They are a disruptor in this space. So Palo Alto and Cisco, learn what you can from them. Get good at networking. Watch Professor Messer. Watch other networking channels like Network Chuck, for example. Network Chuck's going to be great. I have a really good friend of mine, and I'll bring him on sometime, and we can talk about how he got started. But he was a psychology major and switched into cybersecurity, so pretty crazy stuff. And yeah, it's pretty cool how you can just kind of weave your way through life and end up in whatever you want to be in if you put your mind to it. So, but he learned a lot about networking from Network Chuck, and so I recommend his content as well. There's other networking channels out there, really good stuff. I would say if you really want to get good at cybersecurity, you got to get good at networking. And I'll leave you with this. If you forget things, it's okay. It's all right to forget things. You're going to have so much stuff in this career field to remember, and it's not always going to stick with you all the time. So if you forget something, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Come back to it, refresh your memory, and don't get discouraged. Don't feel like you have imposter syndrome. Everybody gets like that. You will be able to succeed in this career field. It's just that there's so much to do and so much to learn that it's hard to keep it all straight sometimes. So thanks for watching today. Let me switch over to my main cam here. And yeah, it's been great chatting with you all today. It's been great providing this content for you. And I love doing these things. I love being on this channel and getting to share my knowledge with you all, and just do all this stuff on the daily with you guys. So thanks for joining. If you don't mind, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share this with your friends, and do all that fun stuff. Put it on your Facebook, your X, your Instagram, your Threads account, whatever you have, social media. Share it. Really would appreciate it. I thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And if it's warm wherever you live at, if you live on the East Coast, go out and enjoy that sunshine. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. See you later.